Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch Open. We are in an interesting situation here where MISFITS are 1-0 up against Creation Esports after, frankly, a little bit of a one-sided looking Nepal there, it has to be said.
It did definitely look like that from both the individual perspective and to some extent here and there, just the coordination as well. MISFITS looked generally better, which is a scary prospect. Again, seeing that both the King of the Hill maps were in the mix there. And, we were talking about it when the camera was off. And you felt like this is just a situation where right now Creation well, I guess we need something different here. Which is not the most confident sounding resolution for their problem.
So I think the layman's term for what's currently happening with Creation Esports on Nepal is first cup of coffee in the morning syndrome. Because I feel like their thought processes were really good. They went into Nepal thinking, okay, this isn't quite working. We just got team wiped. What are we going to do? Bromas switches off to Soldier 76. We're tinkering around with their composition. Numlock's going on to Reaper. They're trying all sorts of different things. And you can tell from the way they're doing things that they're thinking it through and they're going, hang on, let's give this a shot. But nothing seemed to be working and they weren't quite doing it fast enough. It felt like they needed to get into third gear and they just weren't quite able to do that. Whereas MISFITS from the get-go, every time they were team wiped, the first thing they did was, what went wrong there? Okay, let's do this differently. Target this hero. Boom. They never lost 2 fights in a row.
And they also made all the ultimates count as well. They never had spots where they were trying to make the play and it looked like they were kind of having to try to overreach to try to make it work. Whereas we saw that happening multiple times there for Creation, committing into various plays that they weren't quite ready for. And right now we have King's Row coming up, which is great because we've had a lot of cool matchups here already in the Overwatch Open. So I'm very much looking forward to this and also looking forward to see if today will continue to be the day of McCree's. If soon we'll be busting out more headshots there in and all the gratuitous violence that we just saw at the end.
Woohoo! Gratuitous violence! All right, well, King's Row is, it is what Creation need right now. Are they good enough to defeat MISFITS on King's Row? I don't know. I do think it's quite close between the two teams. What I would say, though, is that they're going to be more able to play what their normal, comfortable compositions are. So Numlock is back on Reinhardt. We haven't seen Numlock play a lot of Reinhardt. He is here now, though. And Nevix is actually combining Pharah with Ana to start things off with. And that's very, very interesting indeed. But they're going to switch immediately off of Pharah after the first couple of rockets have gone down. Biotic Grenade going down on the floor as well. On the part of Creation Esports, we have Ana on both sides, I think for the first time this tournament.
Yeah, I think you're completely correct in that. And it's going to be interesting to see how that one's going to play out. We already have, of course, the more of a 6 versus 6 situation straight away towards the point, building up to the statue. They're looking for that push soon already, taking down Bromas. That's a really big deal right now due to the fact that that means the tank is gone and there's a lot of space to go in for the kill, but you can see the reaction there. Instead of allowing MISFITS to just walk in, Creation are going to get themselves in there, but this might be problematic because MISFITS are getting all the frags. This is going way too quickly.
This is very, very strong. And I have to say, one of the things there, if there was a way for me to slow it down in slow motion and take you through it, I would. But there was one moment where Artia came in for Flash and Fan. He flashed, and you could see 4 different MISFITS players in front of him, all benefiting from Ana's healing. And all of a sudden, the Fan from Artia couldn't kill anyone. And you're thinking, hang on a second, this is kind of nullifying the point of me getting up close and personal with McCree. That's exactly what Nevix did for MISFITS right now on Ana. So a great example of Ana coming into the fore and really demonstrating her power in a team fight.
It's definitely great that you pointed out. It can be hard to see in the chaos, but what is this? Link going in there, going down very low, immediately destroyed there as he goes ahead of his team to try to initiate, and it's not going to work out. Really awesome charge coming in, deep positioning all the players. You have Shadows in there as well, as we get Skipjack trying to do his best, his darndest to try to push his team forwards with the payload. And it looks like that is actually what's going to happen here. It doesn't look like MISFITS are able to hold on too well initially.
This is very, very good, actually, coming out initially from MISFITS. I almost feel a little bit sorry for Creation. They were trying all sorts of stuff. I like that they reset onto King's Row, and you can see the players going on to the heroes that they play quite a lot. We see Lynx on Genji. I was talking about that before. We didn't see it on Nepal. We see Numlocked on Reinhardt. Didn't see that on Nepal. So they are in their comfort zone, but even in their comfort zone, MISFITS are demonstrating how they're so good.
And we're seeing another nice play in there with the Genji trying to deflect the Deadeye, but it's a bit chaotic right now. Is it going to be something they can build from? They've got Transcendence in there now after the initial disruption to try to just break things down with a big push, but it's actually going to be working out more for MISFITS. We've got Crew in with so much damage. got just enough charge there to have a respectable amount of DPS as he tries to survive here. Reinhardt trying to come in to punish him, but great shield timings, and Crew's going to get it done.
Numlock must be wondering what he had to do. He swung his hammer and successfully connected with about 12 different people there, and then charged only to get taken out by Crew. Creation are trying, but I don't think they're ready for this amount of speed from Misfits. They have one last opportunity to regroup, and I say one last because the payload is already rounding the corner here.
This has been very quick indeed, I must say. Misfits are sending a statement straight to Creation here that there's no messing around. This is serious business. We're going to get Nerf Shadow coming in there, dropping a bunch of players. Sit down as we get the Genji Sapri moving in, slicing and dicing with the Dragon Blade. But Link has a Dragon Blade of his own, getting in behind the tanks here, doing a lot of damage, actually causing a lot of chaos, actually. You have to see... we saw the Reinhardt moving back there, Skipjack trying to get himself to safety. So Link is just buying some time here for Creation.
Oh my god, this could end up being a monstrous time for Misfits right now. The payload is very close to its destination. Misfits have done an incredible job of team pushing here. Nevex did a great job as well of just making sure the entire team is benefiting from the bust that Ana has provided. And at the moment, they're getting pushed back a bit. Creation kind of need this breathing space right now. Even if they do get pushed back, they can still set an absolutely incredible time.
And it does look like they are getting pushed back indeed. And the thing is, though, we have Misfits who have just generally been looking better in this, despite Creation having the Transcendence, the Earth Shadow, and the Death Blossom available there. It's still looking like, okay, well, there it is. That's beautiful. What a combination coming in. That's what they needed.
This is what happens when Creation are in their comfort zone and they're playing the heroes they know best. They know that Numlocked has that Earth Shatter available. They're talking about when it's going to be good to use. Lynx, okay, even though Creation have, to be honest, were stopped through the first 2 points of this map, Lynx on Genji now, we're talking about his plays a little bit more, and he's getting those kills in as well. So even though Creation are in a tricky situation, they are playing a lot better on King's Road than they did on Nepal.
And another beautiful combo there as well, just pushing Misfits all the way back. The charge from the Reinhardt, Archie coming in with his McCree as well, and now Misfits are having problems setting up plays because they're getting pushed back too quickly, too far back into the spawn. And again, you can see that Creation are looking for more opportunities to do that, to disrupt them from making a solid push, and it's going to be a big flashbang there, and everyone's going to charge down. The Transcendence will be popped as well, Dragon Blade as well. Absolute madness. Misfits cleaning house though.
Oh, Zapri coming in with the Dragon Blade of his own, looking for Zenyatta. Zenyatta decides to go ahead and kill himself. Unfortunately, Drakeus falling off the edge of the map there. That's not going to be good news for them at all. Creation scrambling to try and retake the point. Numlock will have a lot of hit points available to do this, to be fair. Ana coming in, trying their best to boost his people as much as possible. Skipjack absolutely impaling him against the wall, though. Transcendence coming out. This is a last-ditch effort from Creation. Only one person left. GG. And that is still a very good time set for Misfits. We'll get confirmation for what that is in just a second, but especially the first 2 points was incredible.
That was, yeah, very smooth on the first 2 points indeed. And I mean, Misfits trying to end as they started. I mean, very convincing stuff. You can see the play there with the McCree, and this is what I think you brought this point up previously.
Yep, look, everyone's healed. What are you going to do? Artia was stood there going, in any other game, I would have gotten a double kill out of this by now. Hang on, what is happening here? Very, very nicely done. And then Lynx, of course, a little bit back in the comfort zone with Genji. While Creation haven't had the most solid of halves, I would say Lynx had an okay game.
Yeah, I mean, that play we just saw there, that was actually what stopped Misfits from actually just finishing much earlier than they did. But and despite that, you know, with Creation, once they got the breathing space to work with, they did show us some good plays to try to break Misfits. But generally speaking, you know, Misfits just showing that they overall outclassing Creation at the moment. Creation have one last chance essentially to stop Misfits and their reign of terror.
If we want an example of how good Misfits are, by the way, everything we just spoke about, like I'm very well aware of it, we have been talking about how much better Creation have been playing. They basically conceded quite a good time to Misfits there, despite themselves playing so much better than they did on Nepal. So I think this is also testament to just how well Misfits are currently gelling together as a team.
So we will have a look at the hero selection here. So time to beat 5:47.
That's a fast time. That's not like it's not, you know, world record or anything like that, but it is definitely competitive. And against a team this good, you have to be really, really careful not to just completely get blown apart by that. So a big key to this, by the way, is going to be taking the first point as quickly as possible. Note, there is no Reinhardt. Numlocked is currently on Winston. They're looking to take this point very quickly indeed. We were mentioning it in the pre-match build-up chat. There'll be nothing slow here from Creation. Insta-bubble. They want to win this first team fight. Skipjack is a great first pick-off, and they might just do it.
Yeah, that's exactly how you need to get it done. And what can we see here? Zenyatta doing a lot of work from up top. He's so far not been even spotted at this point, just getting all the damage in. We see all the discords as well. So much potential damage output. He just needs some players to support with him, and I think he's getting that right now as they're trying to hold on desperately to this first point. And they might just do it, actually, as Soon comes in with 3 kills there from McCree. That is a problem.
Soon just saved Misfits from conceding a sub-1 minute first point there, I think. Creation Esports are going to have to reset. They started the match so positively and so well. I feel like they deserve something from this. Numlock played that really well on the Winston as well. I thought Linksa also did a great job, and now, unfortunately, they're going to have to switch it up and do something a little bit more long-term. Going into Transcendence with Flash and Fan, Artie is not going to have the greatest of time, and he gets walked straight into a Graviton Surge, and all of a sudden, Creation Esports must be thinking, what do we have to do?
And that is really unfortunate. Again, Soon coming in with Zebasai as well. We saw all the Discord orbs from up top. That combination seemed to hold off that big push. And then all the ultimates were building for Misfits. You can see that Graviton Surge was in play for that to defend that second push. And now it just gets harder and harder. It's a slippery slope after that initial play did not work out with the Winston push.
Oh, and here we go, Artia. Oh, and again, getting flashback in the middle of Deadeye there, unfortunately. Creation are now getting interrupted at every possible opportunity. We have D.Va trying to stop things with the self-destruct. Lynx are actually getting 2 kills there, including on Soon, so this might be the opening that they needed. And it's a little bit unfortunate for Creation Esports that this didn't happen a minute and a half ago, but they do manage to do it. 1 minute, 59 seconds is how long it took them to take the first point.
So not a huge amount of time to work with overall. Will be tough, but again, we know that they have the potential to pull it out of the bag. But I'm also curious to see what Misfits are going to do in the winding road portion here of King's Row.
Well, Misfits are going to be reasonably happy with a almost 2-minute first take. Like, the total time is 5 minutes 46. If they're able to stall even for a minute and a half on the last point, I think they can reasonably expect to win this. So I don't think they're panicking right now. Creation are going to be ruining their chances from the first, but they have to move on from that, and they have to look for these opportunities, like this huge Graviton Surge coming out. Soon and Zapre actually getting 3 people between them. Crew trying to clean up on Numlock. So Creation came in, collapsed on Misfits, and Misfits said, absolutely not, we're having none of this. Lynx are basically the only guy left.
That was really awesome there from Crew. He popped a really nice shield there onto the player who was at the front of the Graviton Surge. And I was thinking, okay, Misfits, if they can force Creation to use a couple ultimates, including the Graviton Surge, but not lose too much, just slow them down, that's going to be really good news. But they actually managed to win the battle. That's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, the strange thing is that Graviton Surge was actually really well placed. It was ripe for Bromas to come in with Death Blossom or something like that, but Creation couldn't quite get the last bit of execution ready in time, unfortunately. And now we're in a situation where they are scrambling, and in all-out brawl mode, as we saw on Nepal, Misfits are extremely strong.
Yeah, and there's still a Graviton Surge available there. It's going to be. There's a lot of charge here, a lot of damage to be done. As you can see, Zapre really wants to get the Death Blossom in. There it is, and he's not going to be able to do much. Gets pushed out of the way. The Defense Matrix comes in as well to make it even less useful, and that is another solid take here for, or contestation for Misfits. They're burning so much time away from Creation.
That was really good, though. I love that play from Creation Esports, guys. We actually saw the Graviton Surge coming out instantly into Dracaeus on Transcendence. And then we saw Zapre come out with the Death Blossom. But Linksa was there ready with the Defensive Matrix on D.Va, and everything Creation did counted everything Misfits did. Now, if only they can do that continuously, they will be able to push this payload all the way through. That was about 20 seconds worth of really, really good gameplay from Creation.
Misfits are ready, though, to start the barrage back into the offensive effort of Creation, though they do have the Transcendence. They've got Soon also on the Deadeye, and we are starting to see the shields of the Reinhardt meet. And here goes the push. You see Soon there just clearing the space with the Deadeye, getting his team into position. Should they want it nice, collapse, or rather, sorry, vacuum there from Creation as a response. Now they come in for the push, but straight into the Earth Shatter. Great anticipation there for the Reinhardt, and now there are problems. 3 kills back to back here. Things not looking good for Creation.
And that was the time for 1 minute left to go for them to complete the map here. So that team wipe was absolutely not what they needed. MISFITS currently on top of the payload, and by the time Creation get back to push, there'll basically be 40 seconds left for them to complete the points entirely. So they have to team wipe in the first 10 seconds of this and basically have the payload freewheel all the way to the end, or MISFITS wins the map.
You get the Graviton Surge. Crew has been causing so many problems there for Creation, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. As
oh my God,
of soon, we've got him in here with that Peacemaker trying to deal the justice, and it's looking pretty good here for MISFITS. This is not clean. This is quite the opposite for Creation. They needed it to be a wipeout.
Yeah, 15 seconds left to go. There were so many ultimates there. It felt like I was in the middle of some very weird I don't even know what it was. I was dreaming or tripping or something, but so much stuff was going on. And ultimately, MISFITS, there were about 4 players that got down to about 10-20% hit points and then all got healed up as well. 5 minutes 46 has now been reached, and therefore MISFITS will win Kings Row, will win the match by a scoreline of 2-0, and Crew showing us he can lift.
Oh yeah, do you even lift? And I loved actually the play from Skipjack. We had a real good chance actually coming in from Creation, and we saw they fell back to try to keep themselves safe from the Deadeye, and also as MISFITS trying to set up positioning around that Deadeye. Again, they're seeing, okay, no one's here. They've fallen back, and they're going to set up their push now. And it all played into the Earth Shadow that was timed so perfectly by Skipjack when the push finally came in for Creation. That was the one that really had to work at the end.
Yes.
So very nice. Again, you're talking about how important the Reinhardt can be, and it's just understanding those timings.
And I feel like the overall story for what happened on Kings Row is that compared to Nepal, we were all saying Creation is starting to play a lot better than they did before, and it still didn't make a difference in terms of the match result. MISFITS were able to counter what Creation were doing. I thought what Creation were doing was much better, and actually, if you just let that play out, they were probably less than a minute behind MISFITS in terms of being able to complete the map as well, but ultimately it wasn't quite enough, and MISFITS move on by a scoreline of 2-0.
Indeed they do, and it's time to welcome Mr. Alex back. Hello.
Oh yeah, did you miss me?
Lots and lots.
The fact that they faltered there really upsets me.
I thought it was Dan's turn to speak. I was ready straight away, I promise.
So what I want to ask you guys before we do say our goodbyes, the grand final, first of all, is locked in. We now get to see Anox going up against Creation. Excuse me, let me try again. MISFITS. Creation, however, is on my mind because that's the discussion I want to have with you, John. Yep. It does feel like there's been like a miscarriage of justice after their attempts on that first break on Kings Row. You liked the aggression from Winston. You felt like it wasn't rewarded. They didn't find the success that they deserved. Can you perhaps expand on that?
Exactly right. I think I'm going to go back to first cup of coffee in the morning syndrome. Creation knew everything they needed to do correctly. And if on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being we now beat MISFITS, I feel like going from Nepal to Kings Row, they stepped it up from about a 4 to a 9. And it was almost painful to watch them doing everything right and still losing some of those battles. First point, they absolutely stormed out of the gates, numlocked on Winston, as we mentioned, and it looked like Creation were just about to take the point. And then Soon comes in with a triple kill, and 20 seconds later, the teammates come back, and Creation must have been sat there going, what do we have to do to catch a break here? We've done everything correctly.
And I think that has to be another point to make, is that there was a huge discrepancy between the performance from Creation on the King of the Hill coming then into Kings Row on that payload. It was night and day, and that then surely poses the question, how did we get to 2 King of the Hills within the map pool? There's it's not it's not hard to get rid of them throughout the veto process. We've seen almost every other game maybe feature 1 King of the Hill at a maximum, perhaps as a decider. So it's quite interesting to see that 2 slip through and then seeing, well, they kind of floundered a little bit, Dan. They didn't look great. I mean, you got to cast it. Was it more of were we more kind of praising the performance of MISFITS on the King of the Hill, or was there criticisms to be hailed toward Creation?
I mean, I feel like, generally speaking, MISFITS, you didn't really see many mistakes when it came to the plays that they were trying to make, because that's what it is. You have the composition that you choose, certain ways you want to attack into your opponents or defend against them and set up and also try to work out what they're doing, how you counter that. Generally speaking, across the board, didn't really see any blunders there, any big blunders from MISFITS from a coordination standpoint. And if, let's say, there was a really awesome play coming in from Creation, then you get to see, okay, you got Soon, maybe he's left there. They whittled down all the tanks and everything. And he's going to show his individual skill. You're going to see the Zenyatta play coming in. So they have that individual skill backing that Creation need to be able to stand up to. They need to have somebody that can respond in the same way. I didn't really see anything crazy individually from Creation. They had some good plays overall, but there was no individuals that stood out on those very key DPS roles as much as Soon did, for example, in certain spots for me.
Yeah, I think maybe Artia once or twice, I want to say,
Artia,
especially.
Artia, yeah.
But unfortunately, I thought he shone more on Nepal, actually, than King's Row, where I think he got like 1 or 2 triple kills, but ultimately, as a team, they got stomped a lot harder on Nepal than they did on King's Row, and it didn't really come to anything in the end.
Something that I noticed at the start of King's Row as well, which I just want to kind of bring to light, was the fact that they got that boost with the Farah and the Ana. They were trying something different there at the start. Did you see that on the break? They actually used a Mei to boost the Ana up to join Farah at the top. Now, sometimes they do that for info, like you'll put a Widow up there to get information and come back down. But I just wanted to make sure that that was highlighted because it was an intriguing play. It didn't seem to work out too well. What was the mind? What would you think the thought process was in getting a Farah and an Ana so early on?
We can't use 6 Hanzos. Got 1 hero limit.
Yep.
What do we do
What do we do now?
It was an interesting play. Obviously, if you can get a sneaky pick off on maybe a Lucio picking his head round the corner, or you just get a third to half of Reinhardt's shield destroyed before you actually march out the gate. Any one of a number of things can happen. It was very speculative, and it was instantly dropped after the first 3 seconds of the game. I think it was a, let's hope, no, okay, let's get on with it.
It gave Ana a bit of ultimate charge as well, so maybe if Farah took more damage, you could
constantly
get a quick
healing.
boost. Yeah, constantly healing the Farah, maybe get a fast Ana ult for that first point. You talked about already, if you're picking a Winston, that means you're going for that one-hit wonder. You want to get it on the first push.
And the first point was fantastic from Creation, so having Ana with more ultimate charge there would absolutely have helped them out. It's just unfortunate it didn't work out.
Unfortunate will be the key word as we wave goodbye to another team here at the Overwatch Open. Our final is locked in for our very first playoff. It's going to be a battle of 2 very big names. You get to see Anox and Misfits return in our grand final to secure a spot in those playoffs and closer to that grand final prize. It is a wonderful prize. Of course, you'll be familiar with it in association with ELEAGUE. They'll be heading over to Atlanta and be broadcast on TBS Network with $300,000 on the line. It's certainly not a bad chunk of change. We'll be seeing who does get that spot in the playoffs in just a moment. We're taking a break, and when we come back, it will be a best-of-5 final for our very first Overwatch Open.